Welcome back to MBOX Frustrated User Guide. You're watching Episode 9, MBOX Audio Secrets. Ever wonder what the output jacks are for on the back of your MBOX? Some boxes, like this H96 Max, the KM9, and those in the M8S Pro series, have analog audio-video output jacks. Others, like this TX6P, have digital audio-only jacks. Still others, like this MXQ, have both analog and digital output jacks. Isn't it interesting that the older MXQ has both, while the newer, more expensive boxes only have one? Well, among other things, these audio output jacks let you use an old, unwanted MBOX as a tabletop internet radio. Not sure what a tabletop internet radio is? Here's a selection from Google. Look at those prices! Well, you don't have to pay those prices, assuming you have an unused MBOX and an old stereo to plug into. All you need to make an internet radio is a properly manufactured cable. Like these from Cyan Cret on AliExpress. $2.45. That's more like it. Lots of free radio apps to choose from. Something for every taste. And every one of these great music apps works perfectly on old boxes like MXQ. You don't need a credit card. There's no monthly fee. These apps won't even ask you to set up a user account. Let me show you how they work. Okay, MXQ is connected to that Sony portable using a Cyan Cret AV cable. So I think today we'll use rock radio. Showing this in real time, we've launched the app. And we come up to the home screen, which has lots of categories. So we have classic rock. I'm just going to scroll down through them. All these different stations in the classic rock category. Then alternative rock. And next there's indie rock, covers and tributes, oldies rock, 70s rock, 80s rock, 90s rock, modern rock, hard rock, and it goes on and on and on. Now each of these apps works like this. So you pick the station that you might like to listen to. Let's just try Got Radio Classic Rock. And then you hit the OK button on your remote. And it starts playing. Now I don't want to get bumped by the YouTube censors, so I'm just going to turn the volume down. And what you heard was coming through the Sony box. Now how would you change channels so you didn't like that song? You wanted to change channels. Well, you would just press the down arrow on your remote and the channel changes. And it would automatically start playing that channel. And this is, the more you press it, it just keeps changing channels, same as any other radio. You could also go up, change channels up. So I'll turn the volume up a bit. Here's some noise coming out of it back there. You can also use the mute button to mute the sound. So this mute button down at the bottom of your remote, this mutes and unmutes the sound. So far we've learned up and down to change channels, OK to make it play, volume up and down to raise and lower the volume, mute to immediately kill the volume. Now, how does this survive an on-off cycle? Well, it does. So I'm going to turn the box off. You can see there's nothing on. In fact, I'm going to turn the monitor off. Now, when I turn the box back on, let's watch the box. And the sound starts playing again. And so that's how it works. Just memorize 7 buttons. And you can run your internet radio without being connected to the monitor. Now, I know you're saying, well, what do I need an external stereo for? Why can't I just do this through a monitor? Because modern monitors are not made to be left on all of the time. Either they burn in, like the one shown in this ZDNet story, or they burn up, like this Insignia 55, or they burn up like this Samsung 40. So if turning an old stereo and an old MBOX into an internet radio makes so much sense, why aren't more people doing it? Because obtaining a cable that's actually going to work for you is near impossible. To date, I've identified at least 3 different cables. OEMs don't sell any of them. OEMs won't even tell you which cable you need and or where to get one. The lack of credible information on this subject is just unbelievable. Dear Mecool official store, I wish to purchase RCA style AV cables, 3.5mm mini plug to red, white, yellow RCA plugs for use with the Mecool M8S Pro series and also for use with the Mecool KM9 series TV boxes. Do you sell them? Does the M8S Pro series take the same cable as the KM9? Or are they different? I would like to buy these cables. Please advise. Thank you. And their answer? This is from the Mecool official store now. We do not sell them. Here's where I asked AliExpress vendor Vention about them. Could you please reveal both the length, 15mm or 17mm, and the wiring, yellow, white, red ground, or red, white, yellow ground, or some other color code of the TRRS plug on this cable? And their answer? Sorry, we do not have information of them, but they are standard. The only problem is there's no standard. Here's how the 3 cables I've identified differ. If you have an MXQ Pro 4K or Transpeed 6K Ultra HD, you want a cable with a yellow tipped TRRS AV plug shown here. TRRS refers to the 4 sections on the plug. T for tip, R for the first ring, R for the second ring, and S for sleeve. For MXQ, yellow, the composite video signal is wired to the tip. White, the left channel audio signal is wired to the first ring. Red, the right channel audio signal is wired to the second ring. And all common grounds are wired to the sleeve. Note that the wiring, regardless of color code, is signal at the tip, signal on the first ring, signal on the second ring, ground on the sleeve. Ground, all 3 cables, has to be on the sleeve. Also, shaft diameter, all 3 cables, is 1/8 inch or 3.5mm. Shaft length, all 3 cables, is 15mm, not 17mm. If you have an M8S Pro, M8S Pro L, KM9 or H96 Max, you want a cable with the red-tipped TRRS-AV plug shown here. Red, the right channel audio signal is wired to the tip. White, the left channel audio signal is wired to the first ring. Yellow, the composite video is wired to the second ring, and all common grounds are wired to the sleeve. Note that even though the color code is different on this second cable, the wiring is still signal, 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 ground. White is still on the second ring, and most important, common ground is still on the sleeve. So if you think about it, either of these two cables could be used on any of the listed boxes. If you acquire the wrong cable, all you have to do is reverse the red and yellow RCA plugs on the stereo input to make it work. Not the best solution, but it will work. To connect an MXQ, MXQ Pro 4K, or TX6P to the coaxial digital input of a surround sound receiver, you'll want a cable with the orange-tipped plug. Orange, containing both the left and right digital signals, is wired to the tip. The rings have no connection. Common ground is wired to the sleeve. So let's understand this. We want a digital signal on the tip, no connection on either of the rings, and common ground on the sleeve. Could we use either of the other two cables for this purpose? The answer is yes, we could. If you had the yellow-tipped cable, then yellow would plug into the coax input of the surround sound receiver. If you had the red-tipped cable, then red would plug into the coax input on the surround sound receiver. So with this chart as a guide, the red-tipped $2.45 cyan cret cable can be used for all three purposes, provided you're willing to adjust the color code. Not something I prefer to do, but that cable does work. So what if you've got a TX6P like all these poor people? The TX6P only has digital audio out. How would you make that work? Well, if you wanted to use it with a vintage stereo amplifier like this Sony, you'd also need one of these. Not sure that makes financial sense because boxes are so cheap these days, but I bought one just to prove the point. Believe me, there's plenty of fault to be found with the TX6. I've 2 YouTube videos on the subject, but a malfunctioning SP-diff jack just isn't one of them. Still, the user complaints persist. Read through this thread on freaktab.com. No one in the forum was able to make the SP-diff jack on their TX6P work. And that's because vendors don't provide useful technical information about the cables and converter boxes you might need to work with the TV boxes they sell. Not even when you ask them. Why do you think that is? Please leave a comment, and as always, thanks for watching MBOX Frustrated User Guide. Next time on MBOX Frustrated User Guide, MBOX Audio Secrets Part 2. Can't wait for the cable you need to come in from China? Subscribe and watch as we check some cables you might already have to see if they're going to work for you. I bet we can make some of them work.